All right. I started the stream because why not? Got my lights going. Start streaming. Morantz is already going. Scott's illin.
Sound the horn.
The horns of Flemdor. All right, I'll start this.
The thing is, I like Ricola way better than Halls, but the Halls commercials are like two giant dudes in a sauna, and that's way better than some guy in lederhosen blowing a horn.
Oh, I got an opening bit too. The DST.
I guess I got opening bit.
All right. It's Tuesday, March 13th, 2018. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is GeekNights. Tonight, Slay the Spire.
Ow.
All right. Well, it's the first Geek Night since the semi-annual daylight saving time, not savings time, but saving time. It is one of those things that bothers me a little bit every time I hear someone put that little extra S in there. But it's every year I feel like there's more people who are like, I can understand someone not liking daylight saving time, and there's a lot of arguments every way, but people seem a lot madder about it every year.
Well, it's good that it's getting attention because it's definitely a problem that needs to be fixed. But I think people are confused. People seem to be saying that they want to keep the clock the way it was because they hate losing the hour, and it's like, no.
No, that's expanding mind meme. That's the first brain.
Right. A lot of people are saying that, like, oh, we should just get rid of daylight savings time. And I'm like...
Savings?
You mean, yeah, savings time.
Saving.
Yeah.
No.
That's right. And it's like, no, we want permanent daylight savings time.
We want to go forward, never come back.
That's right. Even though you lose your stupid hour, like most people are upset about losing the hour. I don't give a fuck about that. I want the sun to be up like it is right now. Right? I came here after work to do the podcast. The sun is out right now.
Yeah.
Last week, when I came over here, it was pitch fucking black. Right? And that's only a 1 hour difference. That makes a big goddamn deal.
My whole life, I don't care if it's light when I'm on my way to work because I can't enjoy the light while I'm at work. In fact, getting up in darkness, in middle school, I had to get up at like 6:30 to go to middle school when I was a kid. I got up earlier for middle school than I do now.
Yeah, it's not like, and people are like, oh, well, just adjust when you go to work. It's like my work is not going to let me work from 8 to 4 or 7 to 3, right, to get the sun to be out. Right? I need the clock to be as it is. So.
But what's interesting is there's, not to derail the show, but what I see a lot of nerds try to say is that time zones themselves are bullshit. Like the window of discussion around daylight savings time very rapidly gets into really poorly thought out ideas from neckbeardos. So we should not abolish time zones. I'm okay with daylight saving time because it does serve, for my own life, a pretty good purpose.
But we should keep it forever.
Yeah, it's a compromise. The fact that we go forward at this time of year is good. I'm just saying, let's not ever go back.
That's right.
Maybe, in fact, if we went forward and then the next year we went forward again and then did daylight saving time back and forth between these two further forward states, that'd be awesome. I'd be totally down with that.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So you got any news? There is actually pretty big gaming news.
What was my gaming news? Oh, there's like all kinds of Switch action going on, right? So there's a big update to the Switch OS. They added a bunch of stuff. You can like find your friends on Twitter now more easily.
Because it hasn't been Switch season. Like I played through all the games I own and I haven't gotten new games yet.
There's a Kirby game. You get a free demo. It lets you control like Kirby plus 3 other AI controlled extra dude. I think you might be able to get 4 friends to play co-op Kirby with it. I'm not sure. I only played the demo.
Yeah, I don't even care about demos. First party games, high quality franchise games. I just buy them automatically. Like, it doesn't even matter.
I guess you're buying this Kirby game then.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
Anyway, so yeah, that's coming. But they announced it, of course, if you haven't been living under 10 rocks, you know that there's going to be a Smash Bro coming to the Switch, and the only thing we know about it is that these Splatoon characters are going to be in it, which anyone could have predicted.
Yep.
That the next Smash would have that. The question is this a remake of the last Smash that was on Wii U and 3DS?
Because frankly, that Smash never seemed to really fully come into its own.
With added characters and maps, or is this an all-new Smash? We don't know.
Like, I never even played that Smash enough to fully grok it like I had previous Smashes.
Nope.
Partly because none of you motherfuckers would ever play it with me. No one ever brought it to a con. No one ever want to play it. Even our friends who were good at Smash just, like, had no interest in this Smash.
Mm-hmm.
But they did have interest in old-ass GameCube Smash.
Well, we played the GameCube one a bunch. We played the Wii one a bunch.
Yep.
And then the Wii U 3DS one was not played as much as a bunch.
A big problem partly was that the 3DS one, the local multiplayer just did not work at all at any convention.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, even if I found a group of people to play with, it just would break immediately and never work.
Also didn't have Wii U.
Yeah. But with this one, no one knows. We don't know what it's going to be like. We literally know nothing about it. The news was just, it's coming. They didn't even give us a date, did they?
No, I think it's next year.
Yeah.
But this year, I don't know. I think it just gives you a year.
I guess I'm feeling it because I really like Smash, and also the
Everyone likes Smash, but the problem is if you don't live in the kind of social scenario where you can play this sort of thing, which is like a college dorm or something.
Or at cons if the local multiplayer works.
Right, then it's like, how are you going to... it's like I got a lot of value out of the old Smashes because I was in college or in a place where I'm living with a bunch of nerds. We get together often and play it. But now, not really so much.
Of course, another part of this was that on the DS, the 3DS, the screens, like, that form factor doesn't really work for me as a gamer so much anymore. A lot of the games that I play or that come out, they really are better served by a bigger screen. And the Switch screen is this perfect sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like Smash would get played a lot more. And while my previous argument would have been, like, I want to carry a 3DS around with me everywhere, these days I don't actually have much downtime to play games on the go. And whenever I think, I'll have some time to play games on the go, like when I'm traveling, I get a long subway ride, I just bring the Switch. It ain't that big. It doesn't need to be in my pocket.
I should bring up some old GeekNights. You're like, PSP, that thing's so enormous. DS, nice and small and cozy.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie. The kinds of games I play changed. Also, game design changed in that there aren't as many games that are fit for purpose for short play time, small screen. A lot of the games that come out now, like there isn't a new Advance Wars.
I find that I use the Switch as just a console on the TV and don't play it mobily that much, except occasionally in bed, but not a lot.
When I play it mobily, it's because I bring it with me on a trip.
I just use my iPad and my iPhone and play iOS games, and my 3DS suffers as a result.
Yeah, but like on a trip, I'll bring it in a hotel room. I'll set it up.
I guess you got Android phone and no tablets. So you're not really playing any games.
Yeah, but even then, there aren't that many tablet-y games I would play on my phone, other than like board game ports.
I have Civ 6 on my iPad.
Yeah, you have an iPad with Civ 6. I just play it on my laptop because it works fine.
I got Hearthstone.
Also, Civ 6, again, that is not a game. What am I going to do on my subway commute? Take one turn? That's not going to happen. I'm not feeling that. And Giant Multiplayer Robot won't work on it because it's not a real computer. But I feel like this Smash is going to get a lot more play from our crew than the previous two Smashes.
I mean, it's like I have to get it, but it's just like I actually feel like what's going to happen is I'm going to buy it and not play it that much.
Well, we should just play it because neither one of us was ever that good at Smash.
Yeah, just like all these other things we should just play that we have.
Yeah, but I feel like we might play this compared to like, I feel like the Rocket League ship sailed. You won't play Overwatch for some reason.
Well, Rocket League I did play a whole bunch.
Yeah, but you don't anymore.
I tried recently, and it was way worse, and now I've got too many other games. But Rocket League was not a situation where I felt like I bought this and didn't get my money's worth.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, I did not rebuy Rocket League on the Switch. I bought it on PC. I played it a whole bunch on Steam. I had my fill of it, and it was good times, and I can always go back to it. It's still alive.
Yeah. But I guess it's definitely, when we get to we're talking about Slay the Spire, a pretty new, not even fully out yet PC game. It is definitely video game season now.
Yep.
Between the consoles and the PC games, there's so much video game action going on. It's actually really hurting my RPG and tabletop gaming right now.
Well, when's the last time you played an RPG?
That's the problem. That's a big problem in my life right now. Partly because the kinds of events I would play RPGs. Actually, I played an RPG at the last PAX.
Sure, me too.
Yeah. And I feel like I should play one at this coming PAX because it's 4 days. But we'll see about the Smash. I do really wonder how different it'll be from the previous Smash. That same question actually is much more pressing when it comes to the upcoming Mario Tennis, which I don't trust at all. But at the same time, the only way to know will be for us to buy it, because as far as I can tell to this day, there's no one on Earth who is capable of reviewing the new Mario Tennis to let me know if it is a failure or not in the ways that I care.
Mario Tennis.
Mario Tennis. So in some super minor news, we were talking the other day, talking about PAX and games we should bring, and the topic of Fireball Island came up.
So if you don't know, Fireball Island is a game that was advertised heavily on TV during our childhood, and is basically a big, fancy, expensive board game that was basically not a very good game. It was roll your dice, move your mice kind of situation.
So actually, there's more to this. Like, it is way better of a game than you remember. I'm not saying it's good, but there's more going on than you think. It's got the barest hints of the kinds of things we like in modern Euros.
It's a lot like Mousetrap. The game focuses on its plastic toy aspect and not so much in the game aspect. Right? There's a volcano is the main feature of the game that erupts and the fireball comes down at the volcano.
Yeah, but it also has
it rolls around and kills your dudes.
Direct player conflict, get the MacGuffin and get out. Like that kind. There's stuff going on. It is not the worst game. It's not just Candyland or Uncle Wiggly.
The point is, this game has been out of print for a super long time, for somewhat obvious reasons.
There's a very similar game. I don't know if it was like the exact same kind of board.
There was the shark one.
There's the Micro Machines one.
The shark one there's basically a whole category of board games for kids that involved elaborate plastic Mousetrap. Obviously, you already mentioned, right?
Oh no, the Micro Machines one is not the one I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of a different game entirely.
Okay. Anyway, so what happened here is somebody has acquired the license and is making a remake of this Fireball Island board game. It will be at PAX East on a table somewhere. And I was like, hey, you should get the original and put it on the adjacent table for comparison purposes.
So we all go to eBay and see, all right, what, $20 to get a copy of this busted old game?
No, like hundreds of dollars.
It's pretty rare, apparently.
Well, it's not rare. It's just it's out of print and people are willing to pay more for it than.
I mean, I'm looking at there's a auction going on right now that like people are bidding on like $130 for this board game.
Yeah, I'm not paying $130 for that.
No. But I do have a copy of Fireball Island actually. That's in really good condition.
Go get it.
Yes,
put it on the eBay.
I'm gonna call my mom and see if she'll mail it to me. And I realized because of this, like I always assumed. Because I have a huge board game collection from my childhood, and some of these games are actually really vintage. Like, one of them's from the 20s. We got a bunch of board games. Like, I have a lot of 50s and 60s era American tabletop games. And perusing eBay, a lot of these games are actually worth more money than I expected, which is real interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to dig into that. I might... Maybe I'll do an unboxing if I get my mom. I'm going to get my mom to mail me like all these old board games just to do something with them.
Yeah, where are you going to put them?
eBay. My mom's moving anyway, so I feel like...
Is she still staying in Arizona?
No, hell no.
Okay.
No one wants to be in Arizona. Actually, my brother's getting out of Arizona too. Pretty much my entire family that lives in Arizona.
They all went there and now they're leaving.
They're GTFO of Arizona.
Good job.
But I'm going to see if I can get Fireball Island, the original. We'll bring it to PAX. We'll play it once. Probably be disappointed, but get some good pictures of ourselves playing it.
Because my expectation is exactly right. You can't be disappointed unless you have a high expectation.
I feel like this game will exceed your expectations. I'm not saying it will reach a level of good, like in Civ 6. It's not going to hit the golden age, but it might edge out of the dark age.
No.
Have you played Civ 6 with the expansion?
No.
I have. It's there's a lot going on in there.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I wonder if I have to buy it twice to play on an iPad and PC.
I don't even know.
I might just keep the iPad one unexpanded.
Oh, hey, there's a bunch of people watching.
Sad people.
All right, different people. Corbin's hanging out in here.
Why?
That's a blast from the past. Mole Facers, Dazzle. We got some new faces.
Doesn't he live on the other side of the world? Shouldn't be sleeping. Doesn't he have anything better to do?
All right. Oh my God, I'm so hungry. Yeah, streamers. So the show's low energy because Scott's sick, and I'm so hungry that I'm like drooling. So that's what's going on here. But anyway, things of the day. So I've been following this channel, and it's not just this channel. There's a whole genre of YouTube videos along these lines now. Kind of like how, so the speedrunning scene, like the modern speedrunning scene, is so far advanced beyond what it was a decade ago that it's unrecognizable. Like, the state of modern speedrunning is so technical and so amazing that it kind of blows my mind, because I remember an era where Scott and I watched a video that was being passed around the pre-YouTube internet, and this video was, holy shit, look at this speed run of Mario 3.
Yeah, I remember that video.
Yeah, that video was like that changed everything. Like, we didn't even, like, now we know.
It's like, because we thought we were good at video games, and then it wasn't until like the year 2001 or 2 that we saw this video. We're like, oh, that's what it looks like when you're good at video games.
Yup, and then we learned it was a Taz bot before Taz was like the term that we decided to use for that kind of thing. Like, the heady days. So another thing is happening that's sort of definitely adjacent to the speedrunning community, and this is people have the technical expertise and the know-how and the time and the energy to take video games, both old and new, deconstruct them, reverse engineer them, figure stuff out. Like, in the old days, there'd be the rumor of, maybe you could bring Eris back. Maybe, even though you can't bring Eris back, what if there was code in there to bring her back that was just cut out of the game? And a lot of YouTube channels and a lot of smart people are deconstructing old games to figure those kinds of questions out in detail. These videos in particular are off-camera secrets. They're taking games like Pokemon Snap, or in the video I'm going to link to, Chrono Trigger, and spending 20 plus minutes going out of bounds with modified ROMs to show you things that were off camera, things that are in rooms you could never get to, things that were hidden. Why are there 100 Luigis under this one room in this game? Like, that kind of stuff. And it is way more technical and way more fascinating than you might think.
Yeah, it's like there'll be like memory space on the cartridge, and where you could draw maps for levels, and someone drew some level in there, but they never actually added that like room to anywhere in the game. So they'll be like, there's pipes in the room, but they're not connected to any other pipes. You can never reach it unless you hack the ROM.
Yep. But like, what if you could get behind the shopkeeper? Like, is that chest openable? The answer is yes. And it's really funny.
Is it Mimic?
There's a bunch of gold in it, looks like.
Oh.
So there's all this like ridiculous stuff that is really just artifacts of the way games are developed, but it's fascinating to see them explored in detail. This is the kind of video that if you showed it to Rim when he was 11 years old, I would have flipped out. This would have been magic.
Yep. All right, so another Chrono Trigger news. Right? If you didn't know, Chrono Trigger was recently released for Steam, which is new.
Yep.
The last Chrono Trigger release was for like iOS and whatnot, and that release was awful. It was garbage. It's like one of the worst things ever.
I'm not gonna lie, the actual last release of Chrono Trigger was my SNES emulator.
The actual last good release of Chrono Trigger was on the DS. If you want to play,
oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
If you want to play Chrono Trigger, the DS version is the best version. If you can acquire a copy, it actually should not be difficult to do so. I don't think they are expensive or rare like SNES Chrono Trigger cartridges are. But anyway, so the one that was released...
$20. Yeah, you can just buy it.
The one that was released on Steam, however, was basically the mobile one ported just directly to PC, and it's a piece of garbage.
So they made a garbage port, and then they ported the garbage port to make more garbage.
Correct. Somebody put a very clever... tweet out regarding this issue. What happened to it? Let's see if I can find it again. Oh, here it is. This is a port from mobile. It only disappoints, but Steam will refund my 15 silver points.
That is pro.
If you have played Chrono Trigger, you will find that humorous. If you have not, if you don't find that humorous, you need to correct your life and play Chrono Trigger. But anyway, but not the PC version or the mobile version. The DS version or the SNES version only. Anyway, so... the actual thing of the day, there's this guy named Tim Rogers. If you don't know who that is, he's the video ball guy, a guy that we are high on and have been high on since we knew about his existence.
He is a person for whom I have deep respect, and meeting him in person only solidified that.
He is a true video game expert. He knows so much about video games.
To this day, and it was sort of an inside baseball thing, but he told us how he figured out the timing for one video game based on an older video game, and the thing he said there.
Yeah, he said. I think he said the time it takes to charge up your shot in video ball is the exact same number of milliseconds it takes to like charge up your shot in
Some
I
other
think it's
old game.
Gunstar Heroes.
I forget what game it was.
But anyway,
it's that level of like care and attention to detail.
But anyway, so this guy now, if you wonder what he's doing after the failure of Video Ball, the sad failure, is he is working for Kotaku making funny videos. And he is narrating them. And, in a way, it is much like, I guess like Yahtzee or whatever, where you have like this, humorous yet informative narrator talking over a bunch of video game footage with no actual people footage. But on the other hand, his style is very unique because he goes obviously way deeper and way more informative and whatnot than other people do because his video game knowledge is so deep. And here is a video to decide if you like what he does. He rips that new Chrono Trigger Steam port a new asshole by saying, basically, here we all know it's awful, right? But look, if you just do these things, and then he actually does those things, he's like, you can make it good. Do these things.
It's interesting how, Chrono Trigger, probably the most notable aspect of that game is that no one has ever been able to do anything like it again successfully. No one's ever done a sequel to it. No one's ever been like it fills this very specific core area of gaming history and nostalgia that people are endlessly trying to recreate and reproduce, and it's unique in that regard. And yet this part of it is just bad, and it's bad in these very specific ways, but it's hard to argue what a truly good port would do. Like, do you
watch this video? He'll tell you exactly what a truly good port will do, and that is take the original game, make it widescreen, the end.
But what about the idea? A lot of people want the HD remake, maybe take the Toriyama character designs and make them really in the game instead of the pixel art.
No.
Why not?
Don't do that.
Why not?
It's bad.
Why is it bad?
No one wants that.
A lot of people say they want that.
No, they don't.
But they say they want it.
Ask them to draw that and show you what it will look like.
It's just fascinating that Chrono Trigger, a remake of Chrono Trigger that is faithful to the feelings of the original, is to this day probably better than even the barest. Any attempt to make a sequel to it would do worse than just re-releasing it.
Mm-hmm.
In the meta moment, the GeekNights book club book is Homer's The Odyssey, translated by Emily Wilson. I'm well into the Odysseus parts. I'm past the Telemachus parts, at least the initial Telemachus parts.
I'm doing other stuff. Not reading.
As soon as you read even a little bit of it, you're just going to burn through it. It's real good.
Maybe.
I'm feeling it.
I keep forgetting, when I get home, that is not a thing that comes to my mind. I got so much shit going on.
All you got to do is read, the first chapter, and you'll be like, oh, all right, I got this.
I'd have to remember to do. I think I might try to start reading it on my phone. That way I'll get through it.
That's how I've been reading it, because I can burn through a chapter while I'm pooping.
Mm-hmm.
But it's real good, and I'm not going to belabor the point, but it is the current Geek Nights book club book. We're going to do a show on it at some point in the near future.
If you're literate, you should read it.
You should. You should also note that the Geek Nights book club has actually done a lot of books over the years.
Really?
Yeah, there's a ton of them in there.
We take so long to do them, though.
Yeah, but we've been doing Geek Nights for 13 years. We've read a lot of books.
So 13 books?
We kind of cheated because we did some books we'd already read in the early days and that kind of thing. I think we did The Sun Also Rises at one point. Or no, we did Farewell to Arms.
Yeah, I hadn't read it at that point.
Yeah, which was weird because I've read that book 5 times.
Right.
But anyway, otherwise, we are going to be live at PAX East 2018. Unless Scott is still sick by then, in which case I will be live at PAX East 2018. The top 40 tabletop games you must play. We did the trial run at MagFest. It went really well. This is the for real version. If you're wondering why this is not the Capture the Flag show we promised on the last episode of Geek Nights, we're deferring that because Slay the Spire is a current new hotness, and I think it's more important to talk about it now. Capture the Flag can wait. We've waited 13 years. We can wait another month.
Any other meta action going on?
Let's just get right into it. We're tired and low energy. I'm tired and hungry, and you're sick. Let's see. Someone enjoyed Chrono Cross. I think you're objectively incorrect. That game was awful. The music was good, though.
I mean, music was good in Noir also.
Yeah.
And Haxon. And
and El Cazador de Bruje.
yeah, a lot. There's a lot of. I think Calafina is losing a member.
Oh no, Chrono Trigger was just the music was so good. All right, I can still play that song on the harmonica and piano without even thinking about it to this day.
We should make a techno remix. I'm sure. Well, I'm sure
There has to be
I'm sure
one.
there are.
There's probably a really good OC remix of it already.
I'm sure there's a ton of them. I remember listening to some back in the day.
So it's not that often that we review a PC game because
it's hard to get Ren to play one.
It's hard to get Scott to play one. Yeah, Overwatch, probably the biggest PC game right now.
It's not the same category.
Right up there with Hearthstone.
It's not the same category of game.
But anyway, Slay the Spire isn't even really out yet. It's early access. We got to be very clear.
So not only is it early access, but on top of the early access, I've chosen to play beta version. So I'm getting the early. All you have to do is in Steam, when you install it, you can go to the properties of the game.
It's worth it to do so.
And you can choose the beta version instead of the stable version. You'll be even more early access. It doesn't cost, then you don't need a password or code or anything.
But it says a lot about Slay the Spire that we think it's worth reviewing now before it's actually out, and we're both playing it in lieu of other games like Civ 6's new expansion.
Right. So there's if you don't know, in the Netrunner world, there's a community called StimHack, and that's sort of like the center for Netrunner internet community activities. Is this website StimHack? They got articles, they run a Slack, they run a forum, they run everything, right? So, and some of the people at the top of StimHack, the Netrunner organizer types, they went and made this game company and developed this game using, lots of Netrunner resources, not, official Netrunner resources from the company Fantasy Flight, but community resources, get Netrunner.
Like a bunch of nerds who know a lot about collectible or non-collectible card games.
Get your Netrunner players to play test, get their advice. Netrunner players are like the smartest card gamers there are. Let's, use their knowledge in this community to build this, this game. And if in fact, there's a Slay the Spire channel on the Netrunner StimHack Slack, and the devs of Slay the Spire are in there, and you can report bugs there, and they'll talk to you there, right? Because that's the inside baseball on this game. So, what the hell is Slay the Spire? So, Slay the Spire is a roguelike where basically you have a map with nodes, and you can proceed up the map to the top, and you got to get up to the top of the map 3 times, beat 3 bosses, and then you beat the game.
Yep.
And you can follow different paths. Each spot on the map is either going to be a shop or a question mark mystery thing, or sort of like FTL, right?
I was about to say, it's a lot like FTL.
Or most of the time, it's a fight. And the fights are pretty much Final Fantasy RPG fights.
But here's the rub.
You stand on the left, bad guys on the right, and you fight.
And it's roguelike, so you're collecting things and improving yourself along the way, or
if you die, you die. Game
maybe
over.
You're hurting yourself along the way.
Unless you got the lizard tail.
But the other part of this, the reason this game is so interesting, is that it's roguelike X deck builder.
See, so it's like Dominion, right? If you ever played Dominion, the board game, the card game, whatever, right? You start your game with a very basic deck. You fill your hand. You play as many cards as you can, or to do as much as you want, and then discard your whole hand, including unused cards. Draw a whole new hand. If you run out of cards in your deck, you shuffle, your discards back in and keep going.
Now, I cannot express to you why I think that us talking about this game is pretty high praise, because we generally, and I think we have a very low opinion of most deck builders, because Dominion set the bar pretty high. Almost everyone who tried to make a deck builder since Dominion has made an objectively worse experience in every possible way.
Right.
There are very vanishingly few good deck builders, in my opinion.
Well, this is a single-player experience, right? But so basically, the thing that makes this game magical is that you sit in there and you see these 2 bad guys. And not only are they sitting there, it tells you exactly what the bad guys are going to do. This guy's going to attack you for 15 damage.
This guy's going to give you a minor negative effect.
Yeah, this guy's going to curse you or some shit. and you look at what you've got, and you have all the fucking time in the world to figure out how to play your hand. You're like, well, he's going to do 15 damage. Maybe I'll just play these 3 block cards to block for 15, and thus I'll take no damage this turn, and I can worry about doing damage the next turn because it keeps going until someone dies.
Yep, and it's very low pressure as a result. There's no timer or anything. You just sit and think.
There is a timer in the top right, and you can get, achievements for beating the game faster, but you don't actually care unless you're speedrunning.
Yep.
But yeah, so the game ends up being tons of fun because when you beat some bad guys or go to the shop, you start getting more cards, upgrading cards, remove cards from your deck.
Now again, full disclosure.
Not only are there cards, there's also potions you can get. You can hold 3 potions and use them whenever you want.
We'll talk about the details of it, but these details may change substantially. The game is in early access.
Right. You get these relics along the way that you can't really get rid of, at least as far as I know, and the relics all give you special powers that are constant. Also, there are, some of the cards you get aren't just attacks and defenses. They're like power cards, so you play them once, and then now you have a power for the rest of that particular combat. So sort of like a power card is almost like a relic, only you have to spend some actions and mana during your turn in order to get it out there into the game.
But all this combined, because it's a single player...
It takes up space in your deck. You got to draw it, too.
Because it's a single-player experience, and because it is a video game... It does the kinds of things that, say, Dominion wouldn't be able to do. It doesn't need to worry about cards being balanced in light of each other. They're just balanced in light of, it's a roguelike. Maybe you found a great card. Cool. Let's see what happens. And in terms of, like, the powers and the relics and the things, it ends up being a very casual experience where a lot of the powers can be the kinds of things you cannot do with a physical card game. Like, every time you draw this card, Hearthstone style, draw another copy of that card. It's yours now. Awesome. Or, here's a card that if it comes into your hand, you can play it, but then it goes away forever.
Yeah,
burn it, exhaust it.
Any card that says exhaust, when you play it, will disappear, at least until the next fight.
Or like you played Dominion, you get curses, right? Curses suck. In this game, there's a bunch of different kinds of curse type things.
And they'll damage you.
Some of them are like, at the end of your turn, if it's still in your hand, take a damage. Some of them are ethereal, so you'll get curses that clog up your hand, and you got to try to like burn them or get rid of them or something. But once you draw them, then they go away.
Yeah, there's lots of interesting strategies going on. For example, there'll be a card like Flame Shield, right? It gives you costs 2 mana, it gives you a ton of blocks. So that's pretty good. If there's a bad guy going to do a ton of damage, you play that, you're all right. It does damage back to the bad guy every time they hit it. And, so it's like, all right, that's not bad. I'll take that bonus. But some bad guys do damage in single hits that are, high damage. And some bad guys do damage like, I hit you for 1 damage 10 times instead of 10 damage 1 time.
Yep.
They get hit by the flame barrier 10 fucking times and just die.
Yep.
So you gotta like be prepared for all the different bad guys that you know of in the game and sort of build your deck to handle any situation. A lot of times I'll start, you look at the cards you start getting as you play because you don't have much choice. It's a lot of randomness.
Yep. Every time you beat a fight, you pick from one of like 3 cards.
So and what relics you get is kind of random too. It's like you can't just get the deck you want every time. You gotta make the best of what you're given.
But that is the power of a deck builder. The point of a deck builder is that you literally construct your deck from the options available in the course of the game. You can't just design the perfect deck. You gotta roll with the punches.
Yeah, otherwise they make like the perfect deck every time, right? No. So you might start the game and be like, I want to make poison and never see any poison cards. Like, well, too bad. Right?
Yep.
But sometimes like I did get the poison deck once. Just I kept getting offered these awesome poison cards. I got every card.
I gotta tell you, when you got a bunch of poison, it feels real good.
But then you get up against a bad guy, and it's like poison doesn't do much to that bad guy.
Yep.
It's just like, well, fuck me. I got a 100% poison deck.
Like FTL, I'm all about a certain strategy, and then I run up against a guy who just has way too many shields. There's nothing I can do about it.
Yep, exactly.
So I want to get into the details of why this game is so fun, but again, I just cannot stress enough.
So the game has these daily challenges first, which they're working on right now, and they keep making them more and more interesting. Basically, it modifies the game in interesting ways, and there changes every day. There's also this Ascension mode, so after you beat the game enough, you get this Ascension mode where they're like Ascension 1, Ascension 2, Ascension 3, where the game gets harder and harder and harder and harder, so you can challenge your skills.
But everything we're about to say from this point on might change drastically, and I just want to be very clear about that.
This is early access, and we're playing early access beta mode, yet the game doesn't really crash. It totally works.
The game is already fun enough to be worth buying. If they never improve this game further, it is worth the price of admission, and you could play it for a month or 2 before you got bored with it. If nothing changed.
Has 2 classes, but there's a spot to put a 3rd class.
Yeah.
That is empty.
I much prefer playing with the girl, the middle one.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like playing the poison strategy, but the economy
the two
of the
classes are pretty much tough person who does a lot of damage in a few hits.
And it's pretty simple.
Has a lot of defense. Not really. They're pretty equal. Has a lot, can also do lots of defense. And the other one is play a lot of cards, do a lot of combos kind of thing.
So it's interesting. The economy of the game as it is now really comes down to, like, in Dominion, you start the game with a certain number of coppers and then some duchies.
Mm-hmm.
Well, estates, not duchies.
Yep.
So it's similar. You start with some attacks and some blocks, like a really straightforward deck.
And then you get like 2 good cards.
And the main economy of the game is that as you go through each level, as you go like along the way, it's very difficult to heal.
Mm-hmm.
Taking damage is not something you want to do under almost any circumstance.
And whenever you get to a campfire where you can heal, I think 30% of your max HP.
Yeah, not a lot.
But if you don't need the healing, campfires have all sorts of other powers. So by default, at a campfire, if you don't heal, you can upgrade a card in your deck, which is great.
This is really cool. So like
But
an
if you
attack
get-
does 6 damage. If you upgrade it, the attack costs the same, but does like 8 or 9 damage.
Every card has like an upgraded plus version that's way better. And like your deck, when you keep going and good at the game, is going to be all upgraded cards. You don't want no crappy.
But everything's always a choice like that, and it's always a difficult choice because upgrading a card is great, but you have very few opportunities to ever heal damage.
Yep. And well, every time you beat a top boss,
You start over.
you
on
get
health.
you get full heals.
Yeah. But you got to get
unless
there.
some daily challenges disable that.
Oh, interesting.
But anyway,
But as a result, so you're playing this economy of try to, at almost any cost, prevent damage to yourself, because it doesn't matter how many turns it takes to beat the enemy, unless the enemy has a turn-related power.
yeah,
Like,
some bad guys, it's like, okay, keep blocking all my attacks. And
I'll just do more damage every
I
turn.
just keep increasing my damage to where now you can't block it all. Or,
Yep.
there's a turn where you got unlucky and didn't draw any blocking cards. Congratulations. The only way you could have beat me was by attacking all out and killing me before I became even more dangerous.
Yep.
But you did not do this. Ha ha ha.
So the just variety of effects that you can apply or that cards can do is already really interesting. Even with there's not that many cards now. Like I've seen them all. There's nothing particularly like I don't know. I feel like even if they could expand this game forever, Dominion style, and I'd probably just keep playing it at about the same rate that I play FTL today.
Yeah, even with this very minimal card pool, it's like every time I play, go up the Spire, even if I fail, I discover something new, right? So like the other day I discovered there's a card spinning, there's a relic, Spinning Top. Spinning Top is a relic, and it says, if your hand is empty, draw a card, right? So there's another card called Anger, and Anger is a 0 mana attack. You can just play it, and when you play it, what it does is it basically does some damage weakly, because it's an attack, right? But it's a weak attack. It only costs 0. And then it copies itself and puts both copies in the discard pile. So if you play Anger, your deck slowly fills with Angers, right? Tons of them. You get the Spinning Top, and a deck that only consists of Angers, effectively, and cards that let you draw cards, and you can basically infinitely play these 0-cost Angers, and then when you've run out of them, because you've drawn your whole deck, it shuffles the Angers from the discard pile back, and you keep playing Angers. You just do infinite damage with those 2 things.
Yep, I had one run where I kept getting the cards that give you those 0-cost shivs.
Yeah,
That just do some damage.
Shivs are great. You can upgrade to you can get the accuracy to increase shiv damage.
Yep,
and then
so you get a thing where like, you get an innate power where every turn you draw your hand and then you get a bunch of shivs just on top of it.
Yep.
Every
It
single
would be like
turn.
every time you play a card each turn, gain a block. Every time you play a card each turn, do a damage to all enemies. And you've got all these shivs that cost 0, and you just keep playing tons of them. So in addition to the damage the shiv does, in addition to the additional upgraded shiv damage, each shiv does a damage to every bad guy and gives you a block. So you just every turn you play a shit ton of shivs are all for 0.
But I guess here's where the game really shines, because in the base Dominion set, for example, and also in a lot of poorly designed deck builders, there's the gold rush problem where there's a very simple strategy that is very likely to win, very powerful, very degenerate, and the nuance and complexity of the enemies in this game, their behaviors and patterns are way more complex than you think.
Yep.
And as a
I
result,
actually wasn't like paying too much attention.
oh
to
yeah,
the
I was playing.
enemies.
There's this knob, this guy who's like holding a spine, and he's like this demon-looking guy. And what I didn't notice, I was just playing, and then he crushed me, like he killed me. I was like, what? Then I realized his power was like, anytime you play a non-attack card,
Yep.
he gets stronger.
Yep.
So,
it's like
like-
you try to block his attacks, you just make him stronger. The only way to fight him is just keep attacking and kill him before he kills you.
Yep.
And absorb and basically be a meat shield and tank it up.
Kind of like how in Final Fantasy IV in particular, it was really about
You
like,
can block him a little bit. You don't have
Yeah,
to completely.
but, like-
you don't have to completely refrain from blocking, but like you can't block like you normally would just carelessly because you'll just give him so much strength, your block won't matter, and he'll do like 100 damage in one hit from all that strength he got.
But the combination of the types of things enemies can do and the kinds of patterns they'll have, every fight is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Even the most basic, like, here's a bug, ends up being a pretty interesting fight. And I find when I play the game that, some roguelikes will punish it a little too hard or make it a little too easy, and you get frustrated or you get bored. It already strikes a pretty good balance where when I lose, it's mostly my fault. With a little bit of luck, and when I win, it's mostly my fault with a little bit of luck. I have a lot of skill and planning input into the game, despite it having a lot of random elements in terms of how your deck evolves.
What's telling a lot is like sometimes like you'll go through the game and there'll be a certain bad guy and you'd be like, oh my god, I have the perfect way to kill this bad guy, and you kill it in like one shot and it's so easy.
Yup.
It's just like aha, and then the next time you go through and you get to the same bad guy somewhere, it's like, oh, I'm not built to fight this guy that I killed in one shot last time, and they totally fuck you up even if you
Yup.
make it through, and it's like, all right, well, that happened.
Or like it's my fault. Like the enemy's telling me what he's gonna do after like 4 hands. I know the pattern, and yet I still just am dumb and I mess it up.
Yep.
Like I get a really good attack hand and I get greedy and I run through the attack instead of doing the thing to protect myself from the attack that's gonna come next turn.
Or like there's like a slime guy, and it's like, all right, when his health
Oh,
goes-
that slime guy.
when he gets below half health, he stops his attack and splits in half. So there'll be turns where like he's gonna do this big attack. So I start defending, and I'm like, wait a minute, I could have just attacked and made him split instead of doing that attack.
But you got to be careful because when he splits, the 2 halves have however many hit points he had.
So you want to bring him as far below half as you can on the turn in which you bring him below half. As other guys, like, there's a lot of situations where it's like, oh, I blocked and took 1 damage, not a big deal, but I could have just killed that guy that turn.
Yep.
But your instinct is to just automatically start playing defense cards because you see the attack symbol above the dude's head.
But I guess simple strategies generally don't work, and that is the sign of a well-executed deck builder.
Yep. There's also a lot of like interactions you might forget about. So like some of the relics are things like, oh, every 10th attack does double damage. It's like you're not keeping track of that shit. And
But
then-
he keeps track for you. It actually does a good
yeah,
job.
but if you don't spend your time looking around every turn, suddenly you'll play an attack and you're like, oh, I was only trying to do 1 damage to that guy. I wasted my double attack thing on the wrong guy because
But
I forgot about it.
The UX, like, they keep improving it. Like, it does things like that particular, the pen nib or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It flashes and, like, does a big, like, hey,
yeah,
this
but
is
you
the
gotta
turn.
be looking there, right? It's like,
But
you
it
gotta-
also-
you gotta be very attentive.
All the numbers on the cards, kind of like in the Race for the Galaxy app.
Yep.
All the numbers reflect the actual current state based on all the modifiers.
Yep.
This game would be hell if it were not a video game.
Yes.
Utter hell.
Indeed.
So the other thing I think is really strong is that it has, money. Like, you have money, you can interact with, like, you can buy stuff from people, but there aren't really items like in a lot of roguelikes. It's not like you're collecting 40 heal potions.
Yeah, when you're in a shop, you can remove 1 card from your deck, and every time you use that at a shop, you can only use it once per shop, and the price goes up at the next shop.
Another sign of a good deck builder, the fact that burning cards from your deck is a difficult and expensive thing that you want to do.
There is a relic that makes it always cost 50.
I think I saw that relic.
Anyway, you can buy a relic at a shop, you can buy a potion at a shop, and you can buy cards at a shop.
Yep.
That's pretty much it.
But here's the thing. the only consumables in this game, the potions, you can only hold 3 at a time.
So if you get another one, you already got 3, you can discard one of the ones you got or not take the new one.
So it avoids a common roguelike problem of if not now, then when.
Yep.
See also every Final Fantasy game where you're fighting Zeromus at the very end of Final Fantasy IV and you're still like, should I really use that elixir? I only have 99 of them. I might need it in the future.
There might be another boss after this one.
Yep. Like this game avoids that problem. You have 3 potion slots by default. Those are the only consumables in the game.
A lot when I first got into the game, there were a lot of situations where like I died, and it's like, oh no, I could have won if I used the potion. Now I don't have that problem anymore. But it's like,
and the potions are good too. They're all subtle. They're like, get some extra dexterity just for this fight, or do 20 damage to one guy once.
Yep. It's like, well, 20 damage to one guy once could be a big deal. The guy's down to 20. Just kill him off rather than like spend more turns losing more HP.
Or you accidentally split the slime. Well, before he actually splits, bring him down further so he's less of a problem.
Yeah, you'll be doubling the worth of that potion.
I like the boss who's the big slime who splits into 2 slimes that will each split into 2 slimes.
Yeah, do you make 4 slimes to make your AoE attacks better, or do you take off 1 slime first and then the other one because you don't have a lot of AoE?
But
there's a lot. It's like really, it seems like it's so basic, but actually there's a lot of subtle stuff going on there.
This game is just shockingly well designed for the early stage that it's in, to the point that if they sold it today as is and never made changes to it, it's still worth buying. I highly recommend everyone listening to GeekNights play this game. It's
unlike other game communities, Netrunner players actually know about games, and this is proof.
Yep. But also because it is a single player experience, there's no pressure, which makes it a lot more fun as a casual experience. Like, if this were on my phone, I would just play it like every time I was pooping. Like, it would replace most of my pooping games.
I am waiting for this to be on some mobile device.
I will play the hell out of this on a mobile device. But it's good enough to where I play it on a PC. Like, the precious time I have in front of my gaming PC, where I could be playing Overwatch or Civ 6, I have chosen to play this game over them multiple times. I cannot give higher praise to this game. I'm sorry. The other praise. Scott is sick and coughing and has a difficulty doing this show, and yet we are still praising this game.
At the pace that I played this game, it takes you about an hour to beat it, or at least to get final boss.
Yeah.
So
I look forward to how this game will evolve, and I feel like when there are 4 money expansions in the future, I'll probably buy them all. So
I don't know if there will be any.
We have no idea. It's so early. But if you enjoy games like FTL, and you want another game like that you can just sort of play and be always making relatively interesting decisions.
If you like deck building games like Dominion.
Yep. If you want a good deck building game that you can play by yourself because you're too good at Dominion, this is your game. And now we're going to stop before Scott dies. Wow, there were a ton of people watching the stream. See you guys around. But I am literally drooling, and Scott sounds like he's dying in there, so we're going to stop.